It's 2 a.m., and you're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down, your eyes are closed, your mind is not. You assume this is a modern problem, something caused by screens or stress or too much caffeine after noon. But the real answer is far stranger. Ancient humans lay awake at night too, for thousands of years, without any of the things you blame for your own sleeplessness. And what they did in those dark, wakeful hours shaped something in you that's still active right now, tonight, whenever sleep refuses to come. Here's what actually happened. For most of human history, sleep wasn't a single, unbroken block. It wasn't one long stretch from lights out to alarm clock. Historian Roger E. Kirch spent years digging through old letters, court records, and diaries from pre industrial Europe, and he found something that surprised almost everyone who read his research. People described sleeping in two distinct segments: a first sleep, lasting a few hours after dark, then a period of quiet wakefulness, sometimes an hour or more, then a second sleep, carrying them through to morning. That waking period wasn't treated as a problem to fix, it was just part of the night. People used it to think, to pray, to talk quietly with a partner lying beside them in the dark. Some got up to tend a fire, check on animals, or simply sit with their thoughts before drifting back down. Nobody panicked about it. Nobody reached for anything to force themselves back to sleep. It was expected, ordinary, built into the rhythm of every night. So, why does lying awake at 2 a.m. feel like something broken now? Because somewhere along the way, humans lost permission to be awake in the dark. Artificial light changed the shape of the night entirely. Once people could push back the darkness with lanterns, then gas lamps, then electric bulbs, sleep stopped being split into two natural segments and got compressed into one long, expected block. Historian Craig Kozlowski has traced how the spread of nighttime lighting didn't just let people stay up later, it rewired the entire cultural meaning of night itself, turning darkness from a time of rest into a time you were supposed to conquer, control, and eventually sleep straight through. Your ancestors weren't fighting their wakefulness, you are. And that fight might be exactly what keeps you awake. There's a deeper layer here, too, one that goes back long before candles or fires or shelters, long before humans built anything at all. Sleep researcher Charles Nunn has studied how sleep patterns evolved across dozens of species, and one pattern shows up again and again in animals vulnerable to nighttime predators: fragmented, easily interrupted sleep. Not because it's restful, because it's safe. A prey animal that sleeps too deeply for too long without waking is a prey animal that doesn't survive very often. Humans, for the vast majority of their evolutionary history, were exactly that kind of animal: slow, clawless, poor night vision. The humans who slept lightly, who stirred at unfamiliar sounds, who occasionally lay awake listening to the dark, were the humans who noticed danger in time. The ones who slept like a rock through everything, they didn't get to pass that trait down. So when you wake at 2 a.m. for no obvious reason, heart just slightly too alert, mind just slightly too active, you're not malfunctioning. You're running an old subroutine, one that used to serve a purpose, one that, tonight, has nothing left to actually watch for, but doesn't know that yet. What did ancient humans actually do with those wakeful stretches, though? Not the panicked scrolling, not the anxious clock checking you might reach for now. Something closer to a ritual. Anthropological accounts of small scale societies without artificial lighting, including groups studied by sleep researcher David Sampson among communities like the Hadza in Tanzania, describe nighttime waking as socially woven into the fabric of rest itself. Someone stirs, they notice the fire is low, or a sound outside, or nothing at all. They might speak briefly to whoever's nearby, they might just lie there, awake, unbothered, until sleep returns on its own schedule. There was no goal to force it, no frustration at the delay. Wakefulness in the night simply had a place to exist. Compare that to your own experience. The moment you notice you're awake at 2 a.m., what happens? Your mind sprints straight to a countdown. How many hours until the alarm? How exhausted you'll be tomorrow? Whether this means something is wrong with you. That spiral, more than the wakefulness itself, might be the actual problem. Psychiatrist and sleep researcher Colin Espy has studied how the anxiety about not sleeping often does more damage than the lost sleep itself, creating a loop where the fear of being awake becomes the very thing that keeps you awake. Ancient humans didn't have that loop, or at least not in the same way. They had permission. Their culture, their environment, their entire nightly rhythm made room for wakefulness instead of treating it as failure. You don't have that room anymore. You have a bedroom built for one continuous, unbroken output, a night with a single expected result, and anything less feels like evidence that something is wrong with you. But maybe nothing is wrong with you at all. Maybe your body is still doing exactly what it was built to do, generation after generation, long before anyone measured sleep in hours or worried about being tired for a meeting. Maybe that hour of quiet wakefulness in the dark isn't a glitch you need to fix. Maybe it's an inheritance, a pause your ancestors used to think, to listen, to simply exist in the dark without demanding anything different from it. So the next time you find yourself awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, resist the urge to fight it, to check the time, to spiral into frustration. Try instead to do what your ancestors did for most of human history: lie there. Let your mind wander instead of racing. Trust that sleep will come back, the same way it always eventually did, for every human who ever lay awake in the dark before you. It's 2 a.m., and you're staring at the ceiling, but maybe you were never actually broken. Maybe you were just remembering something your body never fully forgot.